What's up, guys? This is Boondocks, and today I'm going to be doing another guide. This time it's going to be a little bit iffy. I'm not really sure what deck I'm going to try to work on, but I'm going to kind of teach how deck building works. I don't know all the cards that are available to me, so I probably should have held off on this, but I'm going to give it a shot regardless. So you actually will have access to a deck very similar to what I'm going to be building here. Right at the start of the game, if you pick the green-black. Basically, that just focuses around your graveyard. Pretty straightforward, and I think it could be a lot of fun. So the way that you build a deck is based off synergy. In addition to that, you need to know how many cards you can put in a deck. And that boils down to 4 of every card. Now, some exceptions to that rule, but they're mostly for legacy and older deck building, such as the most common being the Black Lotus. You can only have 1 of those in your deck because it's so overpowered. With these, though, part of the downside with this game is you can only unlock up to X amount with certain creature types. And to me, that's just kind of upsetting. But you still have access to a lot of things that can help you. So I'm going to be focusing on making a green-black deck. And it's going to be a lot about sending my own creatures to the graveyard while trying to protect myself for the later game, and then being able to summon back whatever creatures I see fit. So, right away, I know a lot of these I won't be able to play because they're going to cost mana that I'm not going to have. However, Treasured Find can be pretty amazing. Return target card from your graveyard to your hand, and then exile this sorcery. So, that is exactly the type of thing I'm looking for. And I'll put all 3 into my deck. And moving on. I gotta remember not to click on those arrows because it can actually jump by certain cards, and that can be annoying. Next, I'm going to be looking at Nemesis of Mortals. Nemesis of Mortals costs 1 less to cast for each creature card in your graveyard. So once again, it synergizes with what my end goal is, having creatures in my graveyard that I can then summon back as needed, or benefit me in other ways. So, he also has Monstrosity that can bump him up pretty friggin' strong. He can become a 10-10. And I will take all 3 of him. I wish I could take all 4. Sadly, this doesn't quite allow me to do that. Okay, I'm not quite sure what this guy is. To encourage creatures. For that casting cost, and yes, it does give me 2 for the casting cost, only playing 1 card, but not really my thing. Target creature gets +7/+7 and trample. Again, the casting cost might be a little too large, but I'll keep that in the back of my mind. We then come to Spider Spawning. Put a 1/2 green spider creature token with reach onto the battlefield for each creature card in your graveyard. So, if I have 7 creatures in my graveyard and cast this, I'll get 7 1/2 spiders with reach, which are amazing for stopping flyers. And also holding off your enemy until you can get what you need to put out that big monstrous creature later on. So, with that in mind, I will add 3 of these to my deck. Okay. This will give me +3/+3 in trample and allow me to draw cards based off of how much damage I do to the enemy. Let's see this guy. Reach Monstrosity. Becomes monstrous. Destroy target creature with flying and opponent controls. Okay. This casting cost really isn't all that bad for being a 6/6. So once again, I'll keep that in the back of my mind. Till end of turn, target creature gets +1/+1 for each creature you control. Gains trample. Most of my creatures are going to be dead and in the graveyard, but that's how I want it. Okay. He enters the battlefield. You gain life equal to your devotion to green. That's decent, but not great. This card's based off of having gates, which I will have, but this will require me to have 2 or more. So, Vegevine. He has haste, and whenever you cast a spell, if it's the second creature spell you cast this turn, you may return Vegevine from your graveyard to the battlefield. Now, this is interesting because I could technically cast 2 low-level creatures, and if he was already in my graveyard, he can come out. So for now, I am going to put him in my deck. He is subject to change. Now, Cultivate is definitely interesting. This will allow me to search my card and pull out 2 basic land cards. I'll be able to put one on the battlefield and one into my hand. And I've always loved having cultivates, but I'm not sure if that's really going to fit me quite yet. Here's another one of my favorite enchantments, Beastmaster's Ascension. Each time one of your creatures attacks, put a quest counter on this, and then when 7 or more quest counters are on it, all creatures you control get +5/+5. If you actually have 7 creatures at once and then attack with this, it instantly bumps all the way up and all your creatures get +5/+5. It's pretty devastating. Number of creatures you control. Again, most of my creatures are going to be dead. Nope. Kind of interested in putting Titanic Growth. So I'm going to pop in 2 for now. That's subject to even go up more. I love Titanic Growth. Okay. Satyr Wayfinder. When Satyr Wayfinder enters the battlefield, reveal the top 4 cards of your library. You may put a land card from among them into your hand. Put the rest into your graveyard. So this will allow me to actually send creatures in my graveyard, which in turn can actually benefit my deck. And it lets me try to get more land. So that's excellent. Okay. She lets me put a 1/1 green spoiling creature token. This can actually be good with decks that have Devour. Okay. For the top X cards of your library, you may put a non-land permanent card with converted mana cost X or less from among them onto the battlefield. Then shuffle your library. Genesis Hydra gains to the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it. That's pretty powerful, actually. I don't think it's suited for me, but that is powerful. So, I might come back and grab some fights. They can be very beneficial as well, because they allow you to pit your creatures against enemy creatures and hopefully kill them, and then I can hopefully bring back mine. Okay, so Griselbrand, flying and lifelink. Pay 7 life to draw 7 cards. That's pretty nasty, and I might come back. Runic Scarred Demon. When he comes out on the battlefield, it lets you search your deck for anything that you could possibly want and play it. He's another card that I might think about coming back for. When Malfin Twins dies, put 2/2 black zombie creature tokens onto the battlefield. So the problem with that is he actually has to die, which means not when he goes to my graveyard, but when he goes to the graveyard from the battlefield. So I'd first have to pay the casting cost on him. The difference is if I can keep bouncing him back out onto the battlefield, then yes, he could be worthwhile, but the chances of me being able to do that are relatively low. Nightmare's power and toughness are equal to the number of swamps you control. No. If I was running a pure black deck, maybe, but for now, no. Destroy target creature, it can't be regenerated. That's interesting, actually. When Rotfest Maggot enters the battlefield, exile target creature card from a graveyard. You gain life equal to the card's toughness. Again, pretty interesting, but not my cup of tea. Rescue from the Underworld. As an additional cost to cast Rescue from the Underworld, sacrifice a creature. Choose target creature card from your graveyard and return that card and sacrifice card to the battlefield under your control at the beginning of your next upkeep. Okay, so obviously this is definitely what I want. This allows me to resurrect creatures from my own graveyard. This guy's pretty nasty. I just don't like the casting cost on it, but knocking your opponent down to 1 card would be awesome if they had a lot, because you can really mess up their plans. The issue I have with this is the fact that it costs 5 to play, and typically by that time, your opponent's already going to be down to 2 or 3 cards tops, typically. They might even be with only 1 card or top decking, in which case that's totally pointless. So, Shadowborn Demon. Flying. Whenever Shadowborn Demon enters the battlefield, destroy target non-demon creature. At the beginning of your upkeep, if there are fewer than 6 creature cards in your graveyard, sacrifice a creature. So, this definitely fits into my plan, and I will keep him. At the beginning of your upkeep, draw a card unless target opponent sacrifices a creature or pays 3 life. I'm going to pop one of those. I'll pop 2 of those in for now and see where it takes me. Defender, Jailbreak attacks, though. Okay, once again, it would have to have a gate out in order for him to not have Defender. So, not really interested. Gravedigger. When Gravedigger enters the battlefield, you may return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Once again, perfect for my current setup. He is a little bit expensive, but between that effect and the fact that he's a 2/2, I think it's definitely worth it, and I'm going to take all 4. I honestly would like a few more cards that made me send stuff to the graveyard. Dead Reckoning. You may put target creature card from your graveyard on top of your library. If you do, Dead Reckoning deals damage equal to that card's power to target creature. Once again, I'd be able to get creatures back after they died and be able to kill opposing creatures. So I'm going to take both of these. Target player discards 2 cards. That one's kind of fun, and I kind of think the picture looks funny. Destroy target tapped creature. That is definitely interesting as well. The problem is it's a sorcery and not an instant, so you can't kill off attacking creatures, only after the creature has finished attacking and it's come back to you for the turn. Necromancer's Assistant. When Necromancer's Assistant enters the battlefield, put the top 3 cards of your library into your graveyard. Perfect. So, take 4 of these. Giant Scorpion. A 1/3 with Death Touch. Yes, please. He does cost 3 to play, which isn't that bad for a 1/3. So I will take 4. Death Touch, 3/2, and Heroic. Whenever you cast a spell that targets him, each opponent sacrifices a creature. That could be pretty cool. And I like his effects, but I'm going to hold off because I already got some Death Touchers. I actually want to have a little bit more control for against my enemy. Let's see. Tormented Hero and his battlefield tapped. When you cast a spell that targets Tormented Hero, opponent loses 1 life. You gain life equal to the life lost this way. Okay, whatever. Whenever creatures die, you may put a quest counter on Quest for the Gravelord. You know, for a casting cost of 1, I'll pop in a few. I'm already a little bit past where I want to be, though. That's unfortunate. Okay. Target creature gains undying until end of turn. That can be decent, but I'm kind of tempted at the Bloodghast as well. Whenever you have a landfall, he returns to the battlefield from the graveyard, but he can't really block or anything like that. So, I am going to be a little bit over where I want to be, but I feel confident in what I have. I'm actually going to remove Vegevine for now. And I really wish I had a little bit more low cost. Sadly, I don't. Gonna take out one more Gravelord. So, the way my deck's currently set up is I have no real turn 1 plays. All my plays start on turn 2 and go up. As you can see, I have a little tracker at the bottom here. And this is one of the things that you'll want to do when it comes time to make your own deck, is to lay out all your cards into rows. All your cost 1s in one section, all your 2 costs in another section, 3s and so on, going all the way up. The reason you want to do this is so that way you can determine how your scaling is going to go. So, I have a decent amount of mid-game scaling, horrible early-game scaling, and decent end-game. So, I'm relatively comfortable where I am. So now it's going to be time to add lands. When it comes time to finish up a deck, know that you're going to need at least 60 cards. You can technically have 2,000 cards if you want, but that's going to be pretty difficult to shuffle for 1, and 2, is this my, yeah, that's my black-green deck. It's going to be difficult to shuffle for 1, and 2, well, you're never going to draw what you need, and that'll suck. So, I typically like to have about, in a 60-card deck, I typically like to have about 24 mana. I'm thinking for now I'm just going to bump it 1 more over. I'm not sure what I'd really want to take out, and I'm kind of done talking about this for now. So, let's save and quit and go give this a test run. One of the main things, too, is whenever you do build a deck, test it on your friends. Have them come over and fight you a few times and see how things work out. Because if things just fall to the wayside and you fail over and over and over again, then the deck's probably not what you're looking for. Or at least it's not acting the way you thought it would. Alright, so let's go to single player real quick. Single player. Yeah, you know, let's just do a campaign real quick. Let's go to Innistrad. Why not? Then we'll jump in to explore Innistrad. So, as far as synergies go, you have to have... You can base it off of two main ideas. Either you can have some sort of overarching strategy, such as what I'm doing right now, where my strategy is to send... Well, this is going to be a tough fight. Where my strategy is to send everything to the graveyard and recall it as necessary. That's one way. The other way is you can try to... oh man, if I had one green mana, this would be an awesome hand, but I don't. The other strategy is to look at everything that you have in general and then work around it from there. So I will keep this hand. It's not the best by far. So, sorry. What I meant to say was the other strategy, other than coming up with one giant overall game plan, like my whole send people to the graveyard, summon them back type thing, is to build your strategy around one or two win conditions. And what I call win condition is having specific cards that will just benefit you in general. By that I mean typically legendaries or rare cards that have effects that are so good that on their own they could win the game. So what you do is you take those cards and you build a supporting cast around them until you can get them out. It's a different type of playstyle, but it's how you can do it. One clear defining way of this was the Eldrazi set. The Eldrazi is all about building up. Sorry, 1 second. Okay, yeah, so I have a real shit hand this time. And I gotta discard a card. Shitty. I will discard this guy. Confirm. So, like in the Eldrazi, what you really wanted to do was continually play lower level cards, build up your mana as quickly as possible, and then fight to the point that you'll eventually be able to cast a giant Eldrazi and win, and that creature alone would win the game for you. It was a very unique playstyle. Okay, I'm not having fun with this fight, so let's restart it. I said, come over here. They definitely needed to rethink these fucking menus because they're kind of horrible in this. Okay, this is a really bad hand. So, what I'm learning already with my deck is that my late game prowess might be a little bit too high without having any early game. Unless I draw a few select cards almost immediately, this deck won't start. So because of that, I might want to remove some of those bigger cards in the later half of the game and instead focus on lower level creatures. I am going to keep this hand even though it's risky. I need at least one more mana to make it work. And that wasn't it. Though, turn 5, well, I wouldn't really want him out anyway, because I'd have to start sacrificing things. Oh my god, no mana. And I have the perfect balance of mana too, and that's pretty disappointing. Gonna get rid of this guy. Yeah. Well, he's in the graveyard. I mean, to be fair, this deck's about sending creatures to the graveyard, so this is one way of doing it, I guess. Okay, so I won't be able to do anything until next turn. That's kind of shitty. Let's see. The rest of what I have, though, is pretty powerful. So hopefully things will work out for me in the long run. I can play this, and I will also play Quest for the Gravelord, because why not? Alright, so I am going to be sending 3 more creatures to the graveyard immediately, and that is excellent. So, Quest for the Gravelord goes down. I need 1 more mana, and then I can ramp up almost instantly. And this is kind of my theory of how this deck was supposed to work. And there's that last mana. So, I'm going to play this guy. I'm actually going to take back a card that you wouldn't think. I mean, why wouldn't I take back the big guy? Well, because it's actually less helpful to me than this happy little satyr. And I can attack for 1 damage. I mean, why not? They're open. So, I'm thinking for the next video, I'll try to walk through the steps and so on. But, I don't know. What the heck are you doing? Target opponent reveals his or her hand. You choose a creature card. Okay. Whatever. Go for it. Alright, well, there's my Death Toucher. So now I have a choice. And I know what that choice is going to be. I'm going to play this. Get back Nemesis Mortals. Confirm. And I'm going to sacrifice my sad little satyr. Oh no, too bad, so sad. Next turn, I'm going to get a lot of strong creatures and be able to play even more. And until then, I get to attack for 2. So the reason I didn't play my big-ass creature was because he'll require me to continually sacrifice, which at this point isn't exactly what I want to be doing, and I'll be able to get him back as needed. At the beginning of your upkeep, target opponent discards a card if you control the creature with the greatest power or tied for the greatest power. So that could be kind of annoying, except in my deck, it's actually helpful. Could probably lose a giant scorpion or 2. So, because that satyr entered the battlefield, I get to once again play this card. Unfortunately, I'm burning off sorceries. That would have been very, very helpful to me, instead of burning off creatures, which is what I actually want to do. So instead, we're going to play another satyr. And let's get out a swamp. Confirm, yes. I should have done that automatically. Thank you, though. Now we're going to play another Satyr Wayfinder. And now my graveyard will be stacked. Confirm, I'll take out another gate. Why not? So, I can attack for 2 this turn. And hopefully this kind of shows how the synergy works. I have a lot of creatures now in my graveyard. I got out a lot on the field now, and I'll be able to get even more coming very soon. Flying, I'm not too concerned about that because I'm about to have out a monstrous flyer. And that's going to die this turn anyway. Choose a card to discard. Okay, Giant Scorpion, goodbye. Alrighty. So, I'm going to play Dead Reckoning on my Shadowborn Demon. Oh, nope. Shadowborn Demon. Cancel that. Whoa, that canceled all the way out. Whatever. Shadowborn Demon, thank you. Confirm. So now, the Shadowborn Demon will go to the top of my library. But first, I'm going to use Dead Reckoning to kill off that creature card. This is definitely a bit of overkill, but it's helpful overkill. So I'll play this guy, and I gotta wait on my Necromancer's Assistant because I want that demon to come to my hand. And I can attack with all, doing a massive amount of damage on this turn. So the synergy is definitely working this time around, where I got to send a bunch of creatures to the graveyard, no problem. Even as she's made me discard things, I've been more than safe, and in all honesty, I don't even need to summon the big demon next turn, but I might as well. Yep, you can't make me discard nothing. Okay, she plays Necromancer's Assistant. Same thing I have. Mine is a little bit more powerful, though, for obvious reasons. Alright, so now I get to play my Shadowborn Demon, which will let me destroy this creature immediately, and I can swing for the win. I might as well play Necromancer Assistant, just because I kind of want to see what gets burnt. Though I don't think I get to see it right away. I'd have to go to the deck. And as you can see, I have enough creatures in here that even with having the Shadowborn Demon out, I wouldn't have, or the Shadowburn Demon, I wouldn't have to actually worry about sacrificing anything on the field. But I win this turn anyway. So I was able to get a lot of creatures out, get a lot of mana out thanks to my Satyrs, and pretty much control the flow of the game from my graveyard, which is excellent. And worked exactly the way I thought it would. So that's how you build a deck around a given idea for synergy. And yep, that ends this particular video. So until next time, guys, good luck, have fun, peace.